Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and last time we tracked down that printing press where the Nilfgaardians were releasing some propaganda against us, and we had two choices, whether to use it to create our own propaganda or to shut it down, and based on what you're seeing behind us, you can probably guess which direction we chose to go in. Gave us some high morale, but other than that, not really sure what, if any, long-term implications there might be from having made that decision, but we'll see. Other than that, as what we have on our agenda for today, we did run past this battle, and we've not yet done it, obviously, so might make sense to double back. For a second, it looked like there might have even been a decision that we made here that might have been influenced by some other things that we had or had not done, and we wondered if maybe because we walked past this battle, that might have affected the ultimate outcome here. I hope not, because obviously, that'd be a bit of a shame if we missed out just because we did this in a bit of an odd order, but let's head over there now. We'll, of course, see how this battle pans out. But thus far, it's very much seemed as though, as long as our opponents do not counter the Skellige dudes, we've been pretty strong in just about every encounter we've run into in Rivia. Where do we actually enter here? Is it around this way? Maybe? Possibly? I just want to enter the town. I just would like to enter the... Is it the... Apparently, maybe it's the other way? All I'm looking for is the main entrance. Let's see. I mean, there's fence there. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. I got all distracted by the signposts. I didn't remember if we had gotten that yet or not, but sure, we'll take a quick second to look at this, see if anything new pops up. We now know of a puzzle not too far away and some other encounter over here. Not sure what this kind of area is, but it looks like it's a pretty big estate of some sorts. But either way, I think the plan is to see what the deal is with this battle. So let's jump in. Frolics and Revels, the Nilfgaardians. Having fun? Not allowed. Not allowed. Nilfgaardians too enjoy merrymaking? No, definitely not. To dance, sing, and drink? I don't believe that. The Blackclads, who indulged in these amusements at the roadside inn, the Foxtail, had not expected other guests would join them. Okay, it's a standard battle, so 2 rounds. That generally does work best for the Skellige guys, because it's more time for us to power them up. But we'll see what our opponents have here. For the most part, most of the Nilfgaardian enemies have had similar decks. Let's see if we can learn here. Damage enemy by the number of your allied units, cooldown 3. I am almost certain that the vast majority of the enemies that we fought in Rivia have had this exact leader ability. Whether the deck itself is any different, that's perhaps a different question, but I think as we have established recently, it is all about as many Skellige guys as possible, as early as possible. So let's dump the Bomber, and Patricide works too. Although Tainted Ale plus Infiltrator is certainly tempting, it's probably not the best thing to do in round 1. So might even try dumping Barnabas. Now, Dogger's not bad, although we'd like to use our lead ability to get him out later on. I think we can still have him in hand here. We just need to make sure that we don't finish the round with him on the board or in our graveyard, because then suddenly our round 2/round 3 becomes much trickier. But let's jump in here. And I vaguely remember last time we accidentally did Divana Runestone before we had a Disgraced Brawler or any of the other Skellige guys on the board, and that backfired a bit because it was a complete brick. I think we still ended up winning, but, maybe we don't subject ourselves to that this time round. So, I mean, we could also... I don't remember if we... I think we were of the opinion that Disgraced Brawler might be a little bit better to create the extra copies of, because the low base power is kind of hard to work on the warriors. So let's go. We'll do leader ability here. We'll get rid of one of you. We are on high morale, for what it's worth, so we do have some stronger cards here. I guess we'll get at least one of these guys out. In fact, most of the ones in our graveyard are the warriors. So at least one brawler, though. We should probably get some warriors. So we have a bunch of brawlers in our hand here. So we'll do this. And, I mean, now we could go Divana Runestone, although perhaps we'd prefer to go with the brawler first. 'Cause I think that is still way we'd prefer to go with that. We'd like to get Patricide out here early as well. There's something to be said for having that be our next play, but now we can go Devon and Runestone next turn. Don't need to worry about slowing that down. Okay, so you can get Resilience pretty quickly at that. So we would like to target you pretty aggressively. So I think that is not a bad thing to go Devon and Runestone, and then on our next turn, we can go pretty crazy with Disgrace Brawler damage, but you have a lot of armor. But, and that's a case to be made for getting Patricide out here, I suppose. I mean, even if you get boosted by 8 and you get the Resilience, I was going to say, if it's just Resilience, then maybe we can still find a way to take you out. But now, I mean, even these Disgraced Warriors at this point, they survive getting hit. So you hit for 12. They're functionally an 18, means they survive on 6, means first one is removing armor and not much else. Then next one, yeah, I mean, we'd still need more damage for sure. Oh, yeah, that's gonna get a whole lot of enemies out here very quickly. Okay. So, I mean, technically it is possible to play Dogger in round 1. We just need to make sure that we can use that lead ability to get him back into our deck before the end of the round, so it is a little bit risky and don't really want to take that chance just yet, I don't think. I mean, we could also, if we were incredibly concerned about this recruit, we could just Artifact Compression and steal it. It's not out of the question. I mean, you're also not a terrible card to get rid of, since these guys can multiply like absolute crazy. So, maybe, let's see. It hit both of you, drop you down to 6 armor. I think we established you're going to deal 6 damage, so then you're armorless. And that means you're going to, I mean, you're still not going to have enough damage to destroy this unless we have something else that can deal damage immediately as soon as we play it, which we don't really have, which is why Artifact Compression is kind of feeling like that might even be necessary here. And, I mean, ultimately, the Magnia Division veterans are probably going to be worth more points than the promising recruit. It's just that this recruit has the Resilience, which gives it a different dynamic. So, I mean, you could make a decent case for going after either of them, truth be told, but we'll do that, I suppose. So now, more of these guys come out.
101.
Naturally, another promising recruit comes out, and with the rate at which these guys multiply, yeah, they are going to trigger this immediately on their next turn. So that does kind of stink. That is very annoying. But maybe we just get Patricide out here at this point. We might just accept that this recruit is in fact going to get the Resilience. Maybe we should have targeted the Magnia Division veterans in that case. We could, once again, hit you, but it's really not going to do much of anything because they have so much armor. We can't really break through that. We also have way more points than them, at the moment at least. Yeah, that was just the summon. Okay, now they have the immunity as well. Okay, so it's a lot of the same cards we've seen before, for sure. It's just that, sometimes the order in which they play them makes it a little bit trickier. But we still want to get as many Skellige guys out here as we can. Now we'd like to get rid of you, but man, that's a lot of armor. I mean, yes, it should be you. And yes, we should hit you like that. Now the Brawlers can only hit 1 card. You're 12. I mean, this is pretty similar to the math we were looking at before in the Promising Recruit, although this time you have slightly more armor to work with. Target that guy, which at least means another option for Brawler. Return turn start damage to highest power enemy unit if by 5 if the power is an even number. Highest unit for us right now is Patricide, which is on an even number. That is unfortunate, because he is one of the few Skellige guys who we actually don't really want to have taking damage. Not thrilled about that. know, if it were one of the warriors or brawlers, then that'd be pretty much fine. Yeah, this round is getting very clunky very quickly, unfortunately. And now, in one more turn, we could definitely play Dogger and then use leader ability to put him back into our deck. That would be really nice. But this turn, that makes sort of the last one in which we need to find some kind of solution. Is it just playing a Jade figurine to kind of pass the time? I mean, they don't have a lot of damage, besides this guy. And their leader ability as well, I suppose. Maybe that means they target the Jade figurine. They'll probably be smart enough to do that. I'm wondering, though, if we could Alchemist. And then maybe... The positioning is not great, though. Make this the highest unit, and then maybe they target that with the Assassin instead of Patricide? I don't know. Hawkamail, I'm deliberately trying to save for round 3, but... I think it kind of has to be Jade figurine. Out of curiosity, their leader ability is not about to activate. So there's the briefest of moments in which this is safe, but eventually they will, I'm sure, be able to go after it. It's mostly just to buy ourselves time before playing Dogger our next turn. So now we can target you and we should try to shut off all the Banding Division nonsense. Okay, and now this map starts to look much better, doesn't it? In fact, we might even be able to outright destroy you here. That'll remove the immunity. It also was a resilience card, so it's not a terrible thing to get rid of for that reason as well. There is still that promising recruit, which is annoying. Been pestering us. It does still have resilience. But, yeah, we have 5 left, they have 5 left. Okay. And this doesn't really work here. Kinda, sorta go after the Magni Division veterans, but that's still not very effective. I think we're still waiting for our next turn with Dogger. Naturally, they do hit Patricide. Okay, for what it's worth, let's see. I thought we were on blue coin, but apparently not. I thought we went first. Which is strange, why we have more cards than they do right now. Maybe I'm just misremembering. But, yeah, because if we were to pass here, we're tied. Our highest unit is on even power, so they would still damage us with the Assassin, which means they wouldn't have to play anything. So they would still win without having to do anything else. They'd get another couple of Magni Divisions out here, in fact, as well. I mean, eventually they're going to run out of Magni Divisions, right? So they can only summon more from their deck if they have more in their deck. Usually you would want to shut these down immediately. We did not. As I was saying, that was probably, in hindsight, not the smartest of moves, but might limit their potential to do that in round 2/round 3. And now we can use Dogger. And maybe that is reason enough for us to play at least one more turn. We can use leader ability to put him back into our deck. So I think we probably do that, and that even means we could just sacrifice this disgraced warrior. In fact, that is probably the optimal thing to do. And the most efficient way to do that would be like that. Then we probably still go after you. Now, Dogger. Get all the Skellige guys back. We had several in our graveyard. Mostly the ones that came from our trinket. With that warrior that we just sacrificed as well. So that's enough for us to retake the lead here. And then we go leader ability to put Dogger back into our deck. And just get more Skellige guys out here. And I think we still have a few. There's something to be said for going Reynard to reactivate all their order abilities, but maybe we still try to save that for later round. But leader ability, actually, yeah, we still have the Arbalists out here. Let's get a little bit of damage out of that. Okay. So at least that means that we are now ahead, and they're going to get a couple Magni Division veterans out here. Assuming they have enough for that to happen. But even with that, we may still be in the lead. So it's a strange dynamic, what we have going on here. between the Magni divisions. Okay, they do pass, and this resilience here. So we'll win on even cards, which is usually great, but because they have that resilience, they technically don't need to play anything in the next round. So that limits the value of winning on even to a certain extent, but it's still fine. Okay, and we do draw into Rainer. That's definitely good, but I think we want to dump the... Where was it? The Footman, for sure. Isbel is at 47 damage. Not bad. Not bad, but we'll see if we can get that a little bit higher. And we're probably just not going to look to play anything in this round, I think. And that's why I was saying before, so we'll both be on 10 cards by the time round 3 starts. They'll have this 12-point unit on the board, and that means they don't have to do anything in this round. If they did not have that resilience carrying over, then they would have needed to play something. We would have had card advantage in round 3. We would have had double last say in round 3, so that's why I was saying that would have been a big deal. But unfortunately, could not get rid of that second promising recruit there. Okay, and we basically just want to get rid of you again. And we draw into Dogger, that's fine. That means we only have one actual card in our deck right now, which is the Strays Infiltrator, which we can get out with our leader ability. Otherwise, I mean, we have a bunch of redraws, so if we want to have that in hand and keep something else in deck, then that also works. Just a matter of timing, really. So, I think we actually should get our leader ability back pretty soon, I think. So, maybe it's fine to keep it as is. I mean, yeah, we've so few cards in here that we're going to get them out eventually. Oh, right. Okay, you're the one that gets powered up whenever we use order abilities. It's 3 turns before we get our leader ability back, so still a little bit of time. We'd like to get rid of you relatively quickly. Technically, the earlier we play Mahakamail, the better. We obviously don't have any units on the board at the moment, so it doesn't mean much at the moment. But maybe we go... Could go Dogger immediately, even if we don't have leader ability. I'm assuming they're not going to be able to immediately destroy him. Maybe I'm about to eat my own words there, but it is a way to get a lot of units to set ourselves up for Mahakamail on our next turn, if we'd like. So sure, we'll give it a shot. And because at least some of these guys we've replayed a few times, and we sacrificed a few of them in round 1, they are all on decent base power, for sure. These are the smaller ones, though. And one thing that we could consider doing, which I'm not sure that we necessarily made a point of doing before, is that when we're doing our arithmetic to figure out when it's worth actually getting them destroyed versus just leaving them there on the board, because they take up so much board space with the number of them that we have, that could be reason enough to sacrifice a disgraced warrior just so that, you know, we have room to play something else. Because I think on at least one prior occasion, somewhat recently, we didn't have enough room to play all the stuff we wanted to play. So, at that point, there's a pretty significant cost to leaving these guys on the board. But we'd like to get rid of you. Now, you don't have that many units right now on your end of the board, so that means Patricide is really a net negative if we're just trying to get rid of you. But if we were to, say, use a couple of those Disgraced Warriors, that would probably do the trick. If we were to use 2 relatively big ones. So maybe we do that, and then, you know, Reynard can also reset the abilities later on if they deal damage but don't get destroyed, and that is, I think, going to end up being the case here. So let's do... that... got rid of armor, but you got stronger in the process. I think that was to be expected. This is... the math is, it's close. It's not really working out all that well for us, if I'm being honest. It's ever so slightly coming out in our favor, but it's not great. It's not great. But now we can play the Mahakamail, so we have plenty of units to power up with it. And I don't think we want to use Patricide until we've gotten rid of this dude. I mean, technically... okay, what we perhaps should have done was have this be the target for Tainted Ale. Yeah, in hindsight, maybe that was gonna be their biggest unit. We use that for Tainted Ale and the Infiltrators, and we just go after everything else. That is, we may, in fact, still want to do that, even after going after... okay. Mistakes were made, perhaps. Mistakes may have been made. And, I mean, we still certainly do have time to get this guy boosted up, because if we just use order abilities on the other stuff, we will get boosted back up. It deals damage as well? It's a unit deal... Oh, I did not remember that part. Okay, not loving the second copy of that, though. So, yeah. Alright. I mean, we can still go after this one, which is going to end up being a little bit bigger, although they're almost tied at this point. So, I think we still want to wait a little bit on the Tainted Ale and Infiltrator and what have you. This could end up being a turn in which we go spam all these order abilities, use Rainer to reset all the order abilities, and then use them again and get this guy absolutely ginormous. Should also make Isabel quite a bit stronger as well. I mean, Isabel technically could destroy all these guys if we really wanted to go that route, although usually we like to save her. So, but also try Barnabas. Of course, we don't really know what that's going to give us. But maybe on this turn, we're kind of just looking for a bit of a wild card. So I don't really want to be hitting the other... This other veteran is an issue. Yeah. Let's do it.
What? Oh, yes, I'm on it.
There are a lot of allies to boost. There aren't that many enemies to damage. Card would like to return to our hand. I mean, Dogger, if we were to actually have sacrificed these Disgraced Warriors, would be a pretty big deal. Some of them are close to going down, but certainly are not there yet, and I'm not sure if the Nilfgaardians will help us in that regard. I mean, the Horn is the straightforward one, and we might just end up going for that. I guess. I don't love it. Just the math becomes much trickier when there are two of them out there. Where I don't really want to be spamming that many orders anymore. Unless we go for an early Isbel, which, I mean, maybe that's fine at that point. Maybe we do play an early Isbel. Although we'd like for one of them to survive to still be the... I don't know. So we keep one of them big. If we keep one of them alive for Tainted Ale plus Infiltrator, then the other one is going to also be big. If we use Isbel early, we can get rid of both of them, but we're not going to have a great target for Tainted Ale. I mean, maybe we can find a different target for Tainted Ale. Maybe we just get rid of them with Isbel. And we won't use Patricide yet. I mean, Isbel is still preemptive, even if we're just trying to remove those guys. Range row, strength and self. Melee row boosts all allied units in hand, so I think we want to go range row with Isbel. We do have leader ability back now, which means, yeah, we really would have liked to have sacrificed those Disgraced Warriors because we had the ability to replay Dogger, and we're not going to get much value out of that at this point. I mean, we could get Reynard on the board. You go Reynard, reset order abilities, then you could sacrifice them. Then that means you could use leader ability on Dogger, replay him, get all the Skellige guys back. It does mean that the boost we got on Barnabas is potentially going to be pretty much insignificant, because most of these guys we're going to end up sacrificing anyway, but less. It's, it got pretty strange as soon as we saw this matchup. I mean, it does mean we're going to use a whole bunch of order abilities, but we're also going to deal a bunch of damage to ourselves, so maybe that's still going to be enough for Isbel to break through. Well, I don't know how the math is going to work out at the end, okay? I'm not entirely sure how the math is going to work out when everything is said and done here. Although it's almost going to be enough to destroy those guys as well, which, I mean, again, maybe that's not a terrible thing. So it's not clear we were going to be able to sacrifice those brawlers all that easily. These guys, obviously, they're big enough that they are not really going to get destroyed. Then we do this, destroy one of you. And I mean, like, Patricide, I'm not even sure if we're going to use him. I mean, technically, we could get rid of this. Like, sure, we'll get rid of him. Okay. So then, it's Reynard.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Who brings us back these order abilities, which means we can do this, and this will destroy, it will destroy you, but it will make the other one stronger to the point where this guy will not get destroyed. So we can sacrifice one, and precisely one, at least to these little guys. Alright, so be it. And we can sacrifice... And these guys are going to be easy to sacrifice, because these have become so huge. So much armor as well, so... I mean, Isabel's number is getting bigger. So theoretically, she still may be able to break through. So every time we do this, we are taking damage on multiple ends. Is it worth using these now? These may no longer be worth using. It may just be... these guys? So we can definitely still sacrifice them. Then it's leader on Dogger. Replay Dogger. Oh, right. I mean, we could use an infiltrator now, I suppose. We've gotten you boosted up pretty aggressively. I mean, we don't want the footman, really. That also counts as an order. But now we're, once again, going to have a whole lot of board space taken up here. Some of these skeleton dudes are absolutely ginormous at this point.
Come on, kill me!
You go here, and we'd like to get Tainted Ale going on our next turn, in that case. And at this point, is that reason enough to use a Patricide charge on you? Like, yeah, like, it's just gonna damage their armor, only for them to get boosted back up and regain that armor. So it's not as if it's actually reducing the value of the Infiltrator boost, it's actually increasing it. It's just such a strange dynamic. I think we still leave it at this for now. No, don't put that there. What the heck, man? That's not cool. Boosts chasing units by 2 if it has... Okay, now this is where we'd love to have something to move you, because you kind of just ruined our entire plan. Alright, well... In that case... Ugh. Gross. I mean, we could Alchemist to boost you up. That's an option. Then at least we get slightly better value on that Infiltrator. We do want to make sure we get the Tainted Ale on you, though. We want to make sure we still have room for Isabel, because as we were saying, we're going to run out of board space, and there was something to be said for keeping some of these guys in our graveyard so that we had more board space. But, yeah, that was not part of the plan. That was not part of the plan. So... we might just Tainted Ale here. Keep it on you. We'll settle for this Infiltrator not being very good. Comes back as a 19.
A shame I have no time.
I hate that. Have we ever seen them play this card? So you also can't move one row closer to the opponent, so I actually have no idea what you're going to do. And this is where very much was not planning for you to show up. We will gain one spot once Tainted Ale goes away. So there's that. I mean, they may have just handed us 25 points, but you need to fit in Isbel. So I think on this turn we're just discarding something to create space for, or to bide time until this eventually goes away and we can eventually play Isbel. So Bomber, I think, is the most disposable. And we're still probably going to forego using any of these order abilities. So, this match has gotten very weird for many, many reasons. I also have no idea what that is. I do not remember Nilfgaard having traps. But I don't think this Emissary can do anything, by the looks of things. At least not until this Tainted Ale goes away. And the Tainted Ale, is it on turn start or turn end? Turn start. So I think we should be able to sneak Isbel in on our next turn then. Oh, no, we need to discard something. It'll be an Alchemist, I think, in that case. Because at this point, with a full set of cards on our end, Infiltrator is probably just negative points, kind of like this Emissary was. So this is why there's something to be said for not just blindly spamming Dogger repeatedly, and actually keeping some of these guys in our graveyard so that we have more board space to work with, because this gets a little excessive and can cause some issues, as we're seeing here. Find what you do, boost up by the number of units opponent's hand. 3 turns, repeat deployability. I mean, we don't have very many cards in our hand. I'm surprised you didn't play that earlier. Now we can fit Isbel in, thankfully. Just barely.
Make love, not war.
Get that! Really stinks. We can probably still win, but as I said, I had no recollection of any trap or face down cards that Nilfgaard had, so I was not seeing that one coming. Had I known, obviously we could have, I guess, put an Alchemist and sacrificed that, and then we would have had room for Isbel and still time to use Isbel's order ability. But, yeah, no, that was a very valuable Isbel that we lost. That was like an automatic win with Isbel. We're probably still okay, but not entirely sure. This is going to move. And naturally, the Makamale boosts it. Okay, I think they just barely don't have enough time for that to do its thing. And I tried to put Isbel in a place where she was going to get a pretty big boost from the Alchemist if we ever did have the space to play this Alchemist. Now we do, but not for the reasons that I was expecting. So with you, we could... Yeah, it's going to be boosting ourselves. That's preferable. Or actually, no, it is weakening that cavalry is definitely the best option, I think. In which case, we actually could go kind of crazy on order abilities now if we wanted to. If we were to weaken you, that'd be preferable. So you're going to get boosted when we use orders, but we're going to reset you on this turn anyway. But... Oh, we can sacrifice these disgraced warriors to the veteran. I'm now realizing, which we should have probably done. I mean, we sacrificed weak cards for the most part. It wasn't a huge loss. It was more so Isbel getting lost to the Infiltrator that was a big deal, and that was not because we ran out of board space. So, we don't really have time for the Infiltrator anymore, so... I guess it doesn't make a huge difference anymore, and now we probably do want to keep you on the board, because you have so much base power that you are probably still more valuable here than you would be if you were to boost everyone else. I mean, we have a lot of skeleton guys on the board, though. So, I don't know. It's close, but I think we have enough of a margin here that we don't need to be concerned too much about that maths. So let's just do this.
Asks, you've not seen me.
And call it a day, I think. Even if they get this Emissary back, I think we're still fine.
Now,
they shouldn't.
How did that incantation go?
Oh, but adding a card to your hand is not ideal. Because now you will actually have time, even if we pass here. Unless we go leader ability to put that back into our deck, that'd be devious. We could do that. Get out. I don't actually think we have those Arbalists. I think it's just a Footman. But technically, replacing this with a Footman is preferable. And then we just discard this Infiltrator. I think it's technically the optimal play here. Was that gonna, turn start? Actually, we might have been fine there. Oh, we are required to play it, but it's okay. We're gonna run out of board space anyway. So, again, this was just such a weird match on so many levels. Oh, now we're forced to hand it to you anyway. Okay, never mind. So much for trying to hide that card in our deck. We didn't have enough cards in our deck anyway to avoid playing it. So, gosh. Such a weird match on so many levels, but I think, even with all that being said, we should still be okay here. It goes to show you just how strong the Skellige guys are, that even when everything goes as crazily as it did, we're still okay, but a lot of this was because of the Skellige guys taking up so much board space, so, it is a bit of a double-edged sword, but I think in the end, it is still worth doing it, as we see there. We did still win by a pretty comfortable margin at the end of the day, but it didn't feel that comfortable, because it made for some very, very awkward plays and awkward decisions to be made, and some unfortunate timing. Didn't play it perfectly, optimally, but that was in part because it's not every day you're in those types of situations. But we are done with that encounter. No real plot-related stuffs, it doesn't seem, so our concern that we had before about, was there something we missed out on here that influenced our choices that we had on the printing press mission, seems as though that that was not actually anything that we had reason to be worried about, so that's good. Don't think there's anything else over here, though. Just some additional resources, no extra notes or anything like that, so no extra insights. And in that case, when we get a little bit more resources, we are close. We technically can afford the next upgrade for, I think it's reducing the recruit cap cost of our cards, which is not critically important at this stage, but part of me wants to do it just so that we can say that we fully upgraded that. But we still want to give ourselves some leeway in case we do find ourselves in absolute need of crafting something later on. And I think it costs 5,000 gold to do that, so we'd still have 374, which is enough to craft a few things, you would think. But next on the list is probably some of those things that we just learned about from that notice board, whether it be the puzzle and or that point of interest over there, or whatever else might be awaiting us over in that direction there. But I think that's a good place to wrap up there. Totally absolute chaos in that match there, but hey, ultimately it ended up working out. So I suppose in the end it wasn't that bad after all. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.